Hello, my name is Jorge and I'd like to introduce the Kodak printer. To my left, I have the box of accessories that come with the printer. When opening the box, we'll find a quick guide of the printer. The specifications of printer's hot ends. The warranty. And the filaments of the Kodak line. We also have 2 reels of filaments with their respective dispensers for Kodak filaments, the power cable and the 2 filament holders. Now let's finish unpacking the equipment. When opening the printer, we'll find a blower, a toolkit, and the tempered glass of the hotbed. And finally, we must withdraw the protections. The toolbox contains a putty knife, a Demofix, a bristle caliper, a tip clamp, 2 calibration cards, grease for maintenance, and a cover for the printer. Let's install the blower. We connect the plug and it has only one position. Remove the housing and the blower. It always has to go in this position. And finally, we mount the filament holders. I'm going to show how to load the filament in the printer. When it comes to this step, always keep in mind the specification sheet of the hot ends, since each one works with a specific material. The procedure I'm going to show is the same as the one I used when loading this material. When we assemble the dispenser, the blower has to be in this position. Once the filament is introduced in the extruder, at approximately 2 cm, we go to the home screen. We select Settings, Filament, and we'll see two options, Load Filament and Unload Filament. In this case, we select Load, and it gives us the option to choose the extruder we want to use. Once the extruder is selected, an explanatory video appears in case we have questions about how to load the filament. We close it. And finally, we select the material that we load in the dispenser, in this case is PLA. Once the load percentage is finished, we click on Extrude. And we check that it finally comes out. To print, we select Print, USB. And we look for the file we want to print. So far, we have seen the main functions of the printer. And finally, we are going to print a more complex file designed by us, so you can see the results we get using this printer. Once both filaments are loaded, we proceed to the calibration stage. It should be noted that all printers are ready to print out of the box, but we will also show the function in case it is necessary. To calibrate, let's go to Settings. And calibration will give us three options. The first one is Z-axis compensation, in which the height between the nozzle and the hotbed is calibrated. The second one is surface compensation, where the printer takes 25 reference points and makes an auto level, and the third one is eye calibration, where the printer calibrates the distance between both nozzles. Let's move on to the compensation of this Z-axis. An important fact to know in this step is to verify that both nozzles are clean, free of filament remains, because if there is any residue, the calibration height may vary. The best way to calibrate the printer would be to touch the nozzle with the bed. And as soon as it touches the nozzle, we raise 1 point, leaving a minimum visible clearance. It is important to note that if the arrow goes up, the distance between the nozzle and the hotbed increases, and if it goes down, the distance is reduced. We calibrate the first hot end. And then we proceed in the same way with the second one. Save. And as you can see, the printer will automatically start doing the auto level with the 25 points of reference. We get this message, which means that the auto level and the calibration and height of the Z-axis is finished. We select OK. And the calibration is complete. To verify that it was correctly calibrated, we must make some test prints in both hot ends. To do that, we select Print, Local File, Calibration Files, and we search for the Test T0 file. We select it and print. Once the printing is finished, we verify that it has not come out either too tight or too loose. The optimum point would be this. To check the calibration of Photons number 2, we repeat the previous sequence. but in this case, we search and select the file. Test T1. We select and print. Having calibrated both hot ends, we perform the 5-point test to check that printing is homogeneous on the entire surface of the bed. We proceed as follows. Print, local file. Calibration file. Select the 5-point file and start printing. To finish seeing the calibration options, now let's show Xi calibration. To begin this calibration, what we need to do is print the Xi test file. In this image, you can see the cases you may have. In samples number 1 and 2, we can see how the yellow printing was displaced to the right and the second one, to the left. In these cases, we must go to the Xi calibration option and with the arrows correct the difference. Save and reprint. Keep in mind that what we correct is the printing of hot end number 2, since the printer takes as a reference the printing of hot end number 1. Repeat the procedure until you see that both materials are aligned as sample number 3.